What's poppin'? Welcome back to the station. Welcome back to the channel. Y'all know who it is, your boy Ray G. You can find me on X at RayGQue. And heading into week 12 of the NFL action and week 13 of college football, there aren't a lot of big-time matchups on tap for this weekend. It feels like this is like the homecoming week for a lot of teams. You got a lot of Furmans being played. You got a lot of, Troys versus some of these big-time teams. The biggest game on tap this weekend probably is USC versus Oregon. Matchup, two Big Ten opponents, big-time ramifications for the college football playoffs, Big Ten championship, Dante Moore, Jayden Maiava, Makai Lemon versus Dan Lanning and that Oregon Ducks team. Probably the biggest game on tap this weekend. But what's always cool is as we roll into the weekend, when we get some dope, actionable / entertaining content that one of the big-time draft analysts drops. And this time today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the players from my boy Jordan Reid over at ESPN. Shout out to Reid, all the work he does. Awesome voice in the draft space. He released his top 50 big board over on ESPN today. You can find a link to that article in the description to check out all 50 of those picks and those players. But we're only going to talk about a few of them. There were some interesting names that stood out to me, some things that I've been talking about on this channel for months that confirm what I've seen on tape for some of these players, and still a few that are questionable to me. So we're going to talk through some of those picks, some of those players, look at the rankings, and put some guys on your radar that maybe you haven't paid a lot of attention to throughout this college football season. But at this point, it's damn near December. It's time to know these names. It's time to get rolling. Draft season is literally right around the corner. So as always, if you stick around to the end of the video and you find the information actionable and or entertaining, hit the thumbs up button. Like the video first and foremost. It takes you 1 click, 1 second to do that, whether you're on your phone or you're at the desktop. And then if you like the content on this channel, and I highly encourage you to check it all out, live content and posted content, subscribe, help the channel grow. That gets your boy in the algorithm. Let's make this thing a little bit bigger as we inch towards draft season. And I do have some individual player profiles that will be dropping as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday. It's anniversary time for me and the wife, so I'll be out for a little bit, but I promise you, I'll make sure the content is loaded up on the channel for you. So let's pull it up. Talk through the big board, talk about some players and some names you need to have on your radar as we head into this weekend's action. Jordan Reid's big board top 50. You could find this over on ESPN. Let's talk about it right at the top. And Ar'vell Reese is his #1 overall players. Reid said he is one of the biggest risers in this class, regardless of position. Hybrid type player, linebacker, defender. You can use him off ball, off the edge. A lot of people say he reminds them of Micah Parsons coming out of Penn State, who played off-ball linebacker at Penn State. The Dallas Cowboys used him as an off-ball linebacker at times throughout his career in Dallas, but he really made his hay in the NFL and became that all-pro caliber player, one of the best in the league, off of the edge, rushing the quarterback. Ar'vell Reese at 6'4", 243 pounds, absolutely fits that mold of that explosive hybrid edge defender that can play in space, that can do a lot of different things. The big question is, what do you do? Right now at the top of the draft, you've got like Tennessee at the top. We know they don't need a quarterback, but is this a spot where if they can't move out of that one spot, do they just draft Ar'vell Reese right there at 1? I think he's worth it. He's not Javon the Freak Curse coming out of Florida, but that's the type of player you start to build your defense around. Jeffrey Simmons and Ar'vell Reese up front would be a problem for years to come. So I've got no kind of issue at all with Reid having Reese right here at 1. And he also went Buckeyes 1-2. Caleb Downs. This is going to be a tough one because he is such a good safety. A lot of people say you see right here, Reid says, reminds me a lot of Brian Branch coming out of Alabama. Even if he's a little better than Branch, let's say that Caleb Downs is a better overall safety than Brian Branch, and Branch was a dog coming out of Alabama. Well, where do you take a player? Where do you take a safety? Not just a player. Where do you take a safety at in the NFL draft? I've taken him as high as 5 to the Giants. A lot of people don't like that. I'm not sure that you take a safety inside the top 10, even as talented as he may be. So it will be interesting to watch what happens with Caleb Downs and his sort of draft slot where he ends up falling into as we move through the process. And not a big matchup this weekend for Ohio State. I believe they play Rutgers at home this weekend, so not a big-time matchup for Ohio State. We'll skip a couple of picks. There was a running back very high, a couple of more edge defenders, but we get to his 5th overall player on the big board, Dante Moore out of Oregon. Now, listen, I've talked about this player in particular ad nauseum on this channel. I've got no disagreement with anything that Reid has written up or anything that most people talk about Dante Moore's ability to throw the ball. I think he is very good pushing the ball downfield. I think his throwing motion is good. He absolutely has some functional mobility in those legs. I don't think you're going to consider him a dual threat quarterback at the next level, but yeah, he can run around and escape some stuff, make shit happen on the run outside of the pocket. You see right here, the last line of this, Moore could return to school in 2026. A lot of the reports that I've seen, that I've read, they have him coming back. There are a lot of people out of Oregon that I trust that say he is coming back. He is coming back to school in 2026. I guess we'll believe it when we see it, right? Once it all happens and he declares and or he says, I'm coming back, we can adjust from there. I just caution everybody, because if he does not, like, the QB class gets incredibly thin, especially at the top. It gets incredibly thin. And Fernando Mendoza, he's got him as a 7th overall player, QB2 behind Dante Moore. At this point, and if you have not seen the video clip of Mendoza on the Zoom call or Teams call with Urban Meyer just talking about concepts, what he should do during the play, what he's thinking, what he sees, his reads, the progression, he feels like the QB1. Okay, at 6'5", 225, he's got prototypical size, the arm strength, he can throw all 3 levels, short, intermediate, and deep, and he can run around a little bit. Again, not a type of quarterback that you're going to consider a dual threat guy, but 73% of his passes being completed, that is phenomenal. 2,630 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, already eclipsed his touchdown total from his time at Cal, succeeded at Cal, and he was productive. He's been ultra productive here at Indiana, probably the front runner for the Heisman this year. I do think this is QB1 in the class, and a QB that most people did not see coming, did not see rising to this degree right now at this point in time. But it's hard to deny that Fernando Mendoza is looking like the top dog at the quarterback position. As I scroll through the board and move around a little bit, I have pulled up Reid's wide receiver 1 right now on his big board, and this was a little shocking to me. I thought me and Reid were in sync with the top dog at the receiver position, but he has opted for Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate taking over the Ibuka role as the number 2 wide receiver for Jeremiah Smith, who is the wide receiver 1. 39 catches, 47 targets without a drop for Carnell Tate. 6'3", 195 pounds, has not played over the past couple of weeks. They're saying it's a calf injury or some sort of injury for Carnell Tate, which has limited his ability to play of late. When it's all said and done, I do think he's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be a first-round pick at the wide receiver position. There are some question marks around Jordan Tyson, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. There are some question marks surrounding Jordan Tyson and his health, his injury past, his injury history. Tate's right there. This was a player that I really wanted to see step up this year. There were flashes on tape last year, but it wasn't a complete product at the end of last season. He's definitely turned that thing around this year when he was on the field and playing, and he's positioned himself to be a top pick here in the draft. So Carnell Tate, no issues with him being the wide receiver 1. He does have Jordan Tyson a few spots lower. Not by much, 6'2", 200 pounds for Tyson. He's missed 3 games, nagging injuries throughout his career. That will be a part of his profile. Like, no doubt about it. As good as he is, and as capable as he is at winning at all 3 levels, the durability will be the concern for Jordan Tyson. So let's see how those medicals clear out. And there is a subscriber of this channel who continues to ask me, because I have personally in my rankings Makai Lemon as the wide receiver 2 in this class, and he continues to ask me every show in the comments. And please engage with your boy in the comments. I read the comments. He has hit me every single week. Ray, what about Makai Lemon? What can he do to overtake Jordan Tyson because of the injury concerns? And I've kind of, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. I still don't think it's going to happen, but I am a little more open to some other players potentially being there at that 1 spot if the medicals do not check out for Jordan Tyson, but I think they will. I hope they will. Let's talk about another player Reid has at 14 overall, Ty Simpson, quarterback at Alabama. Ty Simpson, you see what he says first line, completely off of the radar in the preseason, the round 1 conversation. he doesn't have great size, right? He does not have great size. It's 6'2", 208. I've seen some places where he's at 6 foot, 6'1". Ball security in the pocket, 6 fumbles this season, 5 lost. I just personally feel like we are pushing Simpson and Moore to be top 10 picks, top quarterbacks off of the board. And the reality is, if they do declare byproduct of the class, they probably will be top 10 picks, top 15 picks. That doesn't mean they should be. I think Simpson, his first year starting, we know all of the things about his experience would benefit coming back to Alabama under the board for another year. And I know Alabama's got a dope young freshman quarterback that they want to see on the field, and Simpson's return could impact that quarterback returning for another season under Alabama or not. If he gets the grade, he's gone, right? If he gets the grade, he's gone. It's going to be an important end of the season stretch for Ty Simpson. I think if he plays well down the stretch, leading Alabama to the college football playoff, then there's a very good chance that he gets the grade to make him a top pick in the draft. And in that case, he would come out, and you hope he lands in a situation where the team doesn't ruin him. We've seen more and more NFL players come out and say, a lot of these guys, these players are ruined more by coaching than they are developed. And you've seen more and more quarterbacks talk about the NFL as a development problem at the quarterback position. So there it is. You've seen 3 quarterbacks inside the top 14 for Reid. And now we talk about my guy, Makai Lemon. He's got Makai Lemon as his wide receiver 3 right now, behind Tate on his big board and behind Jordan Tyson. I love Lemon. I love Lemon. The physical traits and the speed aren't eye-popping, right? But he is phenomenal at creating separation. He is a physical, tough receiver, right? Yes, if you get hands on him at the line, you can disrupt some of the routes because he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's the best slot receiver in this class. He's the best vertical threat from the slot. He's terrific in traffic. He puts his body in he does a great job of body positioning himself at the catch point, highlight reel grabs. He can punt return. He can kick return. 19 forced missed tackles, 8th amongst wide receivers this season. Makai Lemon, it's too easy to make the comparison to former USC Trojan Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's got some of that JSN, Emeka Egbuka from the slot inside of his game. I think this is going to be a hell of a player at the next level. Spencer Fanu, the O-tackle out of Utah, 17th overall on the board. Maybe one of the few true offensive tackles that project to be an offensive tackle at the next level. A lot of these O-linemen, there's some conversation about them playing other positions like offensive guard at the next level. So it's good to see. It's good to see Spencer there as a tackle, and I think he will remain a tackle. Let's skip down the board a little bit to Texas A&M Aggies, 24 and 25 overall on Reid's big board. KC Concepcion at 24, the wide receiver, and then Cassius Howell, edge rusher out of A&M at 25. Howell isn't going to have the measurables. Not going to have the measurables. It's his first true season as the starter. He had to play behind Shamar Stewart. He had to play behind Nick Scorton last year. Both of those guys, early picks in the NFL draft. He does not have prototypical size. 6'2", 248. We'll see what his actual height is when we get to the combine. Probably closer to 6'1", probably. Man, he can fly, though. I mean, physical. He's got great bend, good power. I can absolutely see a team falling in love with Cassius Howell. Maybe not in round 1, but early round 2, I wouldn't mind taking the swing. And then KC Concepcion, he was good at North Carolina State. And then here at Texas A&M, it is very evident that this guy separates against man coverage like nobody else in this class. Maybe the best one-on-one man coverage separator in this class. Explosive, fast, dynamic. I've mocked him to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He would be a perfect complement next to a DK Metcalf. He'd be a perfect complement for Arizona, next to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think this is the type of player, if you need someone that can win quickly, that can get open, go-to kind of target earner, KC Concepcion out of Texas A&M absolutely fits the bill of that type of player. as I move down the board, we've got some offensive linemen, then we got another one. Here we go. Here we go. Let's pull them up right here on the board at 35 overall for Jordan Reid. And I just want to say this. I love Caden Proctor. He's got Caden Proctor, the big offensive tackle out of Alabama, at 31. But let's pull up his 35th ranked player right now, and a player that I've continued to talk about on social media. I've talked about on here. I've had him mocked inside of round 1 at one point in time. But Chris Bell, wide receiver out of Louisville, 6'2", 220. And I'm going to just point to this. I'm going to read this line. A.J. Brown is a common comparison because of their comparable skill set, frame, and route tree. 6'2", 220-pound bulldozer that can fly. 6'2", 220-pound bulldozer that can fly. He is playing with a quarterback. It's not very great. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to be nasty to Miller Moss, a former USC Trojan, but he has not been great this season. And yet Chris Bell is still able to go out there and put good stuff on wax. This is going to be a player that I think rises throughout the process. Once people see his size, the athleticism, and the speed, I do think that he will rise throughout this process. We look at, we go on the board. Let's go 41, and a very good player, probably projects to be second-round pick at this point. This was a player that we thought would probably be a little higher coming in the season. There were a lot of folks who had him mocked inside the top 10, but Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas, 6'3", 338. Versatile chess piece, right? Versatile chess piece in the middle of Texas's defense. Has not been the best season, but we've seen him come along a little bit more down the stretch. I really like Hill, and I think it's tough when you're talking about a strictly true off-ball linebacker to be like, yeah, I'm taking this guy inside the first round. That's the difference between quite a few differences, but that's why I don't have as much of a concern with Ar'vell Reese, because I don't think he's just a traditional off-ball linebacker. I think he's that off-ball backer that can play off the edge. But you get an Anthony Hill in round 2. I think this is a guy that you look back 5 years from now and you're like, this was a premium player for our defense that has only continued to develop and grow at the next level. The size is there. The physicality is there. Just needs some NFL coaching and some other playmakers around him. I think Anthony Hill still has a lot of talent, a lot of good football left to be played. Let's move to 42. Let's just scroll down the board. Reid's 42nd ranked player, still inside that top 50, LaNorris Sellers out of South Carolina. This was QB1 for me for a while. Strong QB1 candidate before the season, but it's been disappointing. South Carolina's been bad. They've already fired their coach. The offensive line is a mess. Dylan Stewart probably transferring out. You've got a cornerback out of South Carolina that's projected to be one of the better cornerbacks, Brandon Sissy. I think that's how you say it. He's one of the strong cornerbacks in this class. But South Carolina, the team overall has been terrible. They've been terrible. And LaNorris Sellers' development has been off this year. There's some things that feels like he's regressed a little bit. You see right here, bad habits, unreliable protection for them up front. I think he's going to transfer, and I think it will do him a great deal of justice. I think everybody that watches South Carolina knows and realizes that this season is not all because of LaNorris Sellers' failures. It's not all on him. It's not because Sellers has just been awful. The team is bad. The team is B-A-D, bad, LaNorris Sellers. So getting him maybe out of this situation, moving somewhere else where he can grow and have a competent offensive front in front of him, I think that will do a great deal of justice for LaNorris Sellers in 2026. So I'm still not convinced. He declares, I don't know if he'll get the type of grade or that he's looking for. Go transfer, find somewhere else to play and get it together, and then reemerge in 2027. C.J. Bailey, you got C.J. Carr, 2027 class, Julian Sand, quarterbacks. Arch is going to be in the class, probably shaping up to be a good one, and we'll see what Maiava does out of USC if he's got any eligibility left. Let's move on to the final player that I want to talk about because, again, support the work. Support his work if you want to see all 50 of these picks. I just want to highlight some of the interesting names, some of the hot risers, and this RB class is not good. Okay? The running back class overall here in 2026 is not good. You look at the skill set of the players, it's one elite dog, and then you're hoping a couple of more emerge from the fray. Feels like a lot of role players. Hope you got a running back in 2024, 2025. But here in 2026, we know Jeremiah Love is the unquestioned RB1 in 2026. There's no doubt about it. That is the top dog at the running back position. But I think his running mate, and I've continued to talk about Jadarian Price, his ability out of that Notre Dame backfield in concert with Jeremiah Love, I think he's going to be a good running back. And in 2005, we saw two running backs from the same backfield go top 5 in the NFL draft. That was Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams. Now, Love nor Jadarian Price are going to go top 5. Neither of them are going to go top 5, but I do think that these could be, like, this is RB1 and Jeremiah Love, and I do think Jadarian Price could come off the board as RB2. 5'11", 210 pounds. Does not get the attention because it's all Jeremiah Love, but he's got 22 runs of 10-plus yards, top 25 in the country this year. He's a menace on special teams. When you can house kick returns for a touchdown, that lets me know that you've got the juice and the explosiveness to hit the home run play. You see right here, he's got to work on the ball security. 3 fumbles on the season. We can't have that. But he looks bigger than Jeremiah Love. Like, you look at him on tape, I'm like, man, how's Price only 209, 210 pounds? I do think there's a real-world possibility that the Notre Dame running backs come off of the board 1-2. You do have Justice Haynes out of Michigan. I know he's banged up. You've got Jonah Coleman out of Washington. You know, what's that high-end athleticism going to look like for Jonah Coleman? You got Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. These are some quality running backs. Waymon Jordan out of USC. I don't know if he's coming out. Damon Claiborne, Wake Forest. We'll see how all that shakes out. Ultimately, this class at the running back spot is a little weak. But Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame, very good running back, and the second running back on Jordan Reid's top 50 big board. So going through this thing, some interesting names, some new names. I highly suggest you click the link in the video. Check it out. I'm going to give you his rankings at some of the offensive skill positions. We'll run through that real quick, and then I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Remember, hit that thumbs up button. Support the video. You see right here his top 5 quarterbacks: Moore, Mendoza, Simpson, Sellers, and Jayden Maiava. Again, big matchup this weekend. Dante Moore versus Maiava out of USC. Running backs: Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, Jonah Coleman, Justice Haynes, and Kaytron Allen. So 4 J's and a K. Kaytron Allen there out of Penn State, not Nicholas Singleton. A lot of people thought it would be him, but it has not come to fruition that way. You've got Tate, Tyson, Lemon, Denzel Boston, and Chris Bell as his wide receivers. And then the tight end group, not as strong at tight end, but you got Kenyon Sadiq, who was also in that top 50, Eli Stowers, Max Clare, Jack Indries out of Texas, and Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Offensive tackles, do want to touch on this really quickly because it is not a deep tackle class. Caleb Lomu out of Utah, number 1, Spencer Fano 2, and then Caden Proctor out of Alabama, 3. So go down the board. There are all of his positional players, edge rushers. We got Bain, we've got Howe, we've got Falk, a lot of edge rushers. The D-line class this year, both edge and tackle. I mean, when you got Caleb Banks, 4th overall, Amari Washington out of Oregon, the linebackers are nasty with C.J. Allen and Sonny Styles. Cornerbacks, you got a couple of those guys at the top. Jermon McCoy still there, despite the ACL injury. I mean, defensively, this is a very, very, very good-looking class from a defensive side of the ball. Appreciate y'all being in the building. Another show, talking NFL, talking college football as you roll into the weekend for college football action on Saturday and Sunday to the NFL. Show some love. Hit the thumbs up button. Like the content on the channel. Subscribe to the channel and check out all the other content, both posted and live, that I give y'all each and every week for free $99. Much love. Enjoy football this weekend, and I'll see y'all real soon. I'm out. Peace.